fucking nuts! Come on, let's get nuts.
Right, so yeah, the crack there with King Charles popped up on my YouTube there yesterday. He was togged out in his gear, like he was like a Halloween costume, the way he usually is. But yeah, it just popped up and it was on about the digital ID. You didn't see that clip, did you?
No.
No, right. So basically, he was just reading out of this lovely looking kind of booklet, kind of like a card booklet, like something you would find at Mass. And the whole gist of it was that he was backing the government, moving ahead with plans for a national digital identity system. And it was during the King's speech, like so. Um, like remember we were talking about this before, like that they're pushing it, and the EU are pushing for it now, and Ireland were on about pushing for it, and they want guinea pigs for October, I think. They're going to start trialing it out. But obviously it's getting backlash, and even like your man Carl Vernon, that's the guy, isn't it? That's the fellow I just started following recently. I think you were saying you were following him for a while.
Yeah.
He's a funny dude, like I like his little clips. But he had a nice one up about it, and he's English, like, but I'd say the consensus is the English people don't want it, obviously. But supporters are saying it's going to reduce fraud and simplify access to government services and improve immigration and work verification. This is what King Charles was saying as well. But critics didn't warn about the loss of anonymity, centralized tracking of citizens, cybersecurity risks. Like, I don't know, like I think whatever we do, it's going to come in, I think, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And you know, it's funny you say that now because I could never fucking listen to the radio, but I was in a shop there the other day and the radio was on in the background. And they were talking about their passports, these two girls, these two DJs or whatever you want to call them, and they were talking about their passports. And one of them was saying, "Oh, I always make a photocopy of my passport when I'm on holidays, or not a photocopy. I always have a photograph of it in my phone everywhere I go when I'm on holidays in case I lose it." And the other one was kind of going, "Oh, would that work and stuff?" And I was thinking this is digital ID propaganda, where they're just saying, "Oh, wouldn't it just be so handy to have all your information on your phone?" And that's always the way. Just it's always going to be sold to you as convenient
and your safety.
Protect you.
Yeah.
They just care so much.
Yeah, but it was funny, like the way it was just coming from himself, like the king. And I was looking at Carol's looking at the video and just seeing the comments to see what way were the people saying about it. And there were some of them saying like, it's just a guy in a costume just telling us to buckle up for digital ID. Like, you know, I'd say, especially because I don't think the English were too pushed on him getting the kingship either. I don't think, were they?
No, I think the vibe was kind of they were fucking brainwashed over there, the English, with their love for the Queen. But they never really fell in love with him. And when she died and he took over, I think people were nearly kind of ready to move on from the royal family after that, because she'd been queen for fucking most of the population would have had her as the queen, you know, their whole lives. So much of the population, she was a queen when they were children and stuff, you know. All their lives, and so they kind of had this kind of love.
I think what went against him was the whole thing with Lady Diana, like, and you know, I think people probably had a sour taste in their mouths from that. They were always a bit suspicious about him, like in his, you know, aren't they?
That was a very like that happened in '98, I think, and I remember at the time, and you know, long before I was conspiracy minded, but that like people were asking questions even then, you know, that it was weird what happened and the official narrative was weird and stuff. I've never really done a whole pile of research on it, but there's a lot of anomalies.
Yeah, I'd be the same now. But like even in terms of talking about elite there and things, like I know we always mention it, and there's always a big thing within the conspiracy realm as well. But there's this thing that popped up on my YouTube as well, the algorithm the other day, and it was kind of like a 60 minutes episode, but it wasn't 60 minutes. But it was talking about this researcher from Croatia, this investigator, and he was after writing a book basically about elites hunting humans for sport, and it's supposedly fairly factual, like this is stuff that's covered in movies. There was a movie there a couple of years ago. It was called The Hunt, and it was basically the same thing, the same principle. these people that wouldn't have too many relations. They were obviously hunted down, they were tracked down, so they were selected that if something happened to them, no one would really give a shit or no one
Mm,
would follow up on it. And they were
mm.
just released inside in the woods and they're hunted by these elites that pay a big price to these organizers. And
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, William Ramsey, I think it was William Ramsey was talking about that there was some talk of that shit going on in the Epstein files as well. They're hunting black people. They call them moon crickets. You ever hear that slang for black people?
no,
No, moon crickets.
no.
But you know, when I was listening to him the other day, he kind of jogged my memory some of the stuff he was saying. But did you ever see a movie called Hostel?
Yeah, literally, I was
Came
literally
out
going to say it.
came out in 2005, and I never watched any of the other ones.
Eli Roth was the director, I think.
Um, but I remember at the time, like I felt sick in my stomach watching that movie at the time. And now looking back on it through different eyes, I feel like there's probably a lot of truth in that. A lot of people go fucking missing, and just
Yeah,
the way they
yeah.
kind of lured them in with the sexy girls and stuff, and just those fucking
And
murder
drug him.
scenes were so fucking brutal.
Ah,
Like
brutal.
it was like your man's on the table screaming like, "Please don't!" And it's this pure psychopath with no feelings whatsoever is cutting him up, and it's just like that's real heavy shit, like, and it's not. I didn't find it
Yeah,
very entertaining. I don't know what. Like, I was younger, so I sat through it. I used to watch everything back then, like, but
yeah.
I just feel I feel like that shit's real, and these movies are based on real shit. Like,
Jesus, Niall, for a fella that's not into horrors, that's a fairly heavy
yeah.
one for you.
Well, this is like I stopped watching horrors about 20 years ago. I'd say. Do you know that? Well, maybe yeah, about 15, 20 years ago. 'Cause they just.
There was a scene inside the original hostel. There was three of them,
Mm,
and there was a scene where they're going through, yeah, again, some Central European country,
mm,
and these boys are driving through this small village, and they're stopped by little kids, and they were warned about the kids from the locals. They said just beware of the kids. The local kids are like, they're wild, they're feral. So
mm,
they're just there and they'd be throwing stones at you and everything, and they'd be trying like little gangs, and they'd have their own
mm,
little leader and stuff. Um, but yeah, like I'd often wonder as well, like there has to be inspiration from something, like. But
mm.
maybe I remember that country. I can't remember what country it was.
It
Can
was.
you?
I think it was in Prague.
Prague. But there
I
was a big
think.
thing. I think it was Prague as well. But there was this big thing at the time that movie came out, right? And they were saying that it actually damaged the tourism in that country for a while.
I fucking bet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think your man had to literally come out, Eli Roth, the director, and say, look, this isn't based off anything. This is just pure fiction, like, So
Mm,
I think he literally had to come out because I don't know, were they even looking to sue him or whatever.
mm,
But there you go, like, sure, how with this, and I thought it was funny. That was the first movie I actually thought of, when I saw that clip today of that investigator, and I must actually watch the video. But like, see the way I think why there has to be something to it as well is think of it this. See, I know psychopaths and all this, but you kind of have to put yourself into their mindset, right? So they have it all with the money they have, but they're not getting that thrill. Obviously, that
mm,
thrill goes stale after a while. So what do? They keep on pushing the margins. Okay, I'm kind of sick of whatever I'm doing now. Keep on pushing, pushing. Then they get
mm,
into the sadistic stuff, like
mm.
Vince McMahon. You said your boys are watching WWE. Vince
Mm.
McMahon is gone now, but have you heard of him? He was
Yeah.
the
He
CEO.
was the main man. Yeah.
There's a great documentary on Netflix there that came out last year or the year
I saw
before
it
called
actually.
McMahon. Yeah, and they kind of touched on it, but the crowds that were doing the documentary, when they were questioning him and interviewing at the time of his case, but he rejected him. So he did all the other interviews, but then when he had started
Mm,
asking about that stuff, he didn't want to
mm.
do the interview. But apparently, like he was pissing on himself and
Yeah.
other fellas, like pissing on
Yeah.
girls and stuff.
Yeah.
And he used to be texting the girls and saying, "Oh hey baby, I was telling the other guys in the locker room that you like it rough and all this, and you're such a dirty slut and all this shit." And I was telling all the other boys, and they greet me and they love it, this and that, like.
Mm.
So like that's just one fella that's in the public. What about the other cunts in the background with
Yeah.
all the money in the world?
I think like a lot of these fuckers are damaged from a young age anyway. They've suffered serious abuse themselves, so they're already mentally fucked as well. Do you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I seen a thing about Donald Trump there. I came across this this guy anyway, he's a philosopher. The name escapes me, but a clip came up on YouTube, and he was interviewing another philosopher, or sorry, so, I can't remember who it was, but anyway, and they were talking about Trump, and they were saying supposedly like that Trump had some childhood trauma as well, and that's why he has a lot of this ego
Yes.
complex, and that's where he's getting from. And then there's people around him that are saying you're such a great president, you're the best president of all time, and all these
Mm,
decisions you're making, you're the greatest. And he obviously loves it, and that's why he's on me, and it's just this kind of subconscious thing that he's trying to always prove something, and then he's
yeah.
getting all this praise, and because obviously people licking his arse so that they can stay in their positions, and
Mm,
he loves that,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
all these people in power, supposedly, because that's not a normal thing. Like you have to kind of step back. I know myself, but obviously everyone's different. I don't know why you'd be, but if you had that power, and if you saw yourself being a bit egotistical, or saw someone mocking you, calling you egotistical, maybe you'd take a step back and think, "Fuck it, I did come across egotistical there." But obviously,
Yeah.
this fella doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Do you know, it's funny you say that now, because we're talking to Richard Willett tomorrow, and Richard
Yeah.
was talking to a fella, a man who directed a movie called Bordering on Insanity, and it's about boarding schools and the abuse that a lot of children suffered in England over decades, over the past few decades,
Mm.
and how a lot of them, it warped them, and a lot of politicians in England now are former um, boarding school students who did suffer abuse. And he was talking about Tony Blair and James or David Cameron, and he mentioned Trump and Trump's brother, and he mentioned that Trump, he reckons the abuse that Trump's brother suffered at the hands of Trump's father kind of cost him his life in the end, that it drove him into alcoholism, and that's
Mm.
what he ended up dying from and stuff. So I think the gist of it is that these young fellas, they get warped and twisted at a young age, and they're just not able to feel properly. And actually, there was something interesting. He was saying like a lot of abuse victims abuse themselves, not abuse themselves, but abuse others as when they get older, and it's a coping mechanism to sort of tell themselves that it wasn't as bad as they remember. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they go on, they put the abuse and they pass it on, and it just goes on from generation to generation. But you end up, if you have a young fellow who's abused like that, you end up, now I'm not fucking having sympathy for these corrupt politicians, but
Mm.
they end up being just kind of sociopaths who they just don't care. They just don't have empathy for people because of the suffering that they experienced in their younger years. But Richard will
Yeah,
tell you about it tomorrow.
yeah. Looking forward to that chat now.
Mm.
Yeah, and his new book as well, I Am Immortal. So looking forward to that chat. There's another thing that popped up there during the week that I seen. It was about dynamic pricing. Now we've chatted about this before. It came up there on some social media. I think it was maybe last month I seen it. And yeah, that's nuts, lad.
Tell me
Like
about
this
that. I'm not
dynamic.
sure, but I know about that.
So I know it's going in America in some shops. I think like Walmart or something. I don't know is it going on with some shops in the UK, but I think they're trying to bring it in. But apparently, so you have these, your labels, say, would say on the shelf, okay, in a Tesco, for example, in a retail store. So these are hooked up so to a system. I will say if you've your box of tea bags, or no, we'll say it better again. We'll say if it's on a summer's day, okay, the
Okay.
weather's nice. You've ice creams there set at €4 for a packet of ice creams. Okay. But they know that this is a hot day and this is based on past sales from a year ago or the year before. The ice creams are top seller on
Motherfuckers. Yeah.
this day. Let's pump it up by 50
Mm.
cents or up a euro or something.
Yeah.
Dynamic pricing. It is
Yeah.
like Oasis with the tickets. Remember dynamic pricing they were saying, Ticketmaster.
Go away. Was it that? Yeah.
Pump up the price because there's such a huge demand. But then what it'd do like is if there's stuff that wasn't being sold too much that day or that week, they'd put down that price as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
dynamic pricing constantly changing due to demand.
Yeah.
Like that's
Do you know?
nuts.
I've noticed this in fucking in super value, a few super values now, specifically those fuckers, where you go to you pick up something, you see the price tag on the fucking shelf as you pick it up, and then when you go to the thing, you scan it, you discover it's fucking more expensive than It was marked that, do you know? And I think they do that shit on purpose as
Mm.
well. I know it's illegal to do that, but they know that the vast majority of people aren't going to fucking put it back. They know that a lot of people aren't even going to fucking notice, do you know?
Or else you'll have people that might give out and they'll be just like, ah, fuck it, look at the price of that there. And but they
Mm,
just get on with it,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But again, like you look at, there's no point one or two people just saying boycotting it or whatever. It needs to be a mass thing. But if
yeah,
you need it, you're going to buy it. That's the
yeah,
problem, see. And what
yeah,
happens if you're having a barbecue?
yeah. That's it. Like,
Do you know, weeks of
that's it.
barbecues pump up the price of that.
Yeah,
But what happens then if there's a shortage in bread or something like a coronavirus thing where everyone goes nuts and starts shitting themselves and buying toilet paper and just getting a huge urge for ham sandwiches and go away and
mm,
empty the bread off the shelves.
mm.
A slice pan there might cost you €10 now. Tough
What
shit.
the fuck?
Look,
What the fuck
dynamic
was that with
pricing,
all
but it's
the?
€10.
Yeah, what was that all about with the fucking toilet paper? People lost their toilet paper of all things, like, you know.
All
Do you ever
just
see? Do
nuts,
you ever
yeah.
see that documentary? I think it's on. I think it was on Netflix called The Fire Festival. Do you ever watch that one?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
good
yeah,
one.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
did you see like a bunch of people just started fucking as soon as they realized that something was wrong, started hoarding toilet paper. It's
yeah,
like, what the fuck's
yeah,
happening
it's
here? Like,
nuts. But it's a sheep effect. They spot one person doing it and they're like,
yeah.
okay, that person must be in the know on something. I'm going to do it as well.
Mm. So what's the
Um,
story with this hantavirus shit now? Because I looked it up there a while back, and it was it was fucking AI was suggesting that. I said, like, you know, what percentage of people would actually want another lockdown to occur, and it was estimating that like 15 to 20% of the population would actually be excited to lock down again, do you know?
is it just because it's kind of disrupting their everyday life for
I
something
I
that's,
think, yeah, I think that it was kind of, it was a real it, it really leveled the playing field for a lot of people, I think, in the sense that if you weren't too happy with your life, maybe you were underachieving a bit, and you know things weren't going great, all of a sudden we're all in the fucking same boat now. Do you know, we're all
mm,
locked down, we're all losing our jobs, or we're all, you know,
yeah, brings everyone down.
participating in this thing. And I don't know if it was Netflix bullshitting or what, but I remember seeing at the time that like the top movies were all these kind of pandemic related movies in the
Yeah,
first couple of weeks, Contagion and I Am
yeah.
Legend, and people just wanted to play pandemic. Do you know what I mean? They wanted to buy into it. It was I think it was exciting for a lot of people,
Mm.
you know?
Do some people like to be told what to do as well then? Do they like to be controlled
Yeah,
maybe?
they
They
do
be
that.
like daddy government or
They do
daddy
actually.
who telling them
Yeah,
what to do.
I heard Thomas Sheridan talking about this the other day, and he was saying that people, a lot of people are kind of, just like you said, they want the rules to be nice and clear, and they want to just follow them, and they want they want their life kind of decided for them in a sense, you know.
Mm.
They don't want to, because people are desperate to fit in, and people are desperate to go with the herd. And when something like that is so clear, it's like, okay, this is, we're all doing this now. That's great. I'm on the right track. I'm on the right page, and I'm on the same page as everybody else, so I'm safe in the herd, you know.
Do you remember in school as well, there'd always be teachers' pets and they'd always like to go up and show off their work and say, what do I do next, miss? What do I do next, sir? Looking for instruction. You'd wonder, are they the kind of people, what do they grow up to be? Are these kind of people that,
Yeah,
what do we do now, Mr. Government
there's
person?
there's yeah there's people who are just, they love to follow the rules, you know.
Yeah, and then if you stray from the rules
Mm,
altogether, no, what are you doing? You're
yeah.
different. You're a
Mm.
fucking clown. What are you on about? You're a conspiracy theorist.
Well, I suppose like you kind of, if you're pulling at a thread there, you know, if you're the kind of person who wasn't going to wear a mask, and everyone's wearing their
Mm.
mask, and then all of a sudden they see this guy walking through the shopping center without his mask on. It's like it's undermining the rest of you. It's like, no, you're all fucking playing the game here, lads, but I'm going to walk around, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to be fine. It's like you're debunking the whole thing. They think they need the mask because they're going to die without the mask, you
Niall,
know? And
I
then,
remember I remember I was inside a shop before, right, and I was walking up through the aisle, and there's this lad working there, and he was a young fella, but he was a Chinese kind of descent and Asian descent, I should say. Um,
Chinese.
I
He
think he
probably
was from
was.
China
Yeah,
though. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
he was from China, but because I remember saying it to him, having a chat with him after. But there was this fella literally but this guy didn't look like he was right in the head. He was literally, so your man was packing the shelves, whatever, and your man, the customer was passing him, but the guy that was doing the Chelsea, he had no mask on, right?
Mm.
So during the time of the COVID, and your man was just passing at the other side of the aisle, but he's making it pure obvious that he's passing him, and he's kind of like, oh, that this fella has like fucking, what was that name of that thing, that disease that people had like back
Bro.
around
Oh, leprosy or something.
leprosy. Yeah, it was like he
Yeah.
was walking, and he was like watching him like this, and he was kind of like covering himself like
Yeah.
this. And I literally said to your man, I just saw it like, and then I just turned to your man. Your man was in his 50s, like, and I said, lad, what the fuck you at? Like, I said,
Mm.
your man's just, what are you doing?
Mm.
And he goes, he's not wearing a mask. I says, tough shit, it's nothing to do with you. It says, look, and it was near the end of COVID as well. I said, it's nothing
Yeah.
to do with you. I said, get over yourself.
Yeah.
I actually did, like, and I said it to your man, didn't I? I says, like, he was young enough fella. I says, you're right, lad. I said, take notes of them fucking idiots. They're only
Mm.
freaks. And, yeah, a lot of that shit, like,
Yeah. Yeah. They
um,
love it though. They just love it. It's that personality type, man, you know. What are you gonna do?
yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing is that they make up a big percentage of the population. So like it's very difficult to like most people just want to go with the flow and they want to have an easy life and they don't want to fucking buck against the system, but they will go where they see the traffic going. And like if they call another lockdown tonight, 20
Mm.
or 30% of the population will just woof straight away, do you know? And
And
those that resist are in the minority.
yeah, and to just same thing, just getting back to that little story about that worker, why is as well, I think, is because at the time it was going around that it was a lab leak from Taiwan. Remember? So
No, it
that's
was
that was
Wuhan or something. Was that
or
it?
Wuhan. Yeah,
Wuhan,
sorry,
yeah.
the Wuhan lab. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, you see the crack what's happening there. Yeah, so this Hantavirus, like, so
Mm,
apparently it all broke out from the cruise ship.
yeah.
Um, but then there was something sketchy about your man as well, like your man that was talking about it,
Yeah.
logging it online because he was supposedly
He
like
was
a travel fucking influencer with a lot
yeah.
of followers, like.
Yeah, and I can't remember who posted it now, but they posted the clip of him saying, like, he's kind of crying nearly. He's like, you know, we're not just a news story, and this is really happening to us, and all this kind of shit. And then he splices to the next video, and it's the same fucking dude from a couple of years ago going, if you can get your booster, if you're eligible to get your booster, go out and get your booster. It's like, what a fucking coincidence that it's the same dickhead, you know?
Yeah, no, I seen a thing as well who were saying that it's the risk to the general public is low, and there's I seen others saying it then on clips, supposedly experts, health
Mm.
experts said it's not likely to become another COVID scale
That's how they
pandemic.
start it. That's how they start it. They first of all are like, no, it's nothing to worry about. It's nothing to worry about. And then they go, you know what?
It,
Maybe, you
but
know?
it's testing the water. It could be
Yeah,
potentially
yeah.
testing the waters again. But I always have this thought process, right? Okay, because you kind of have to step back as well. What happens when there's actually comes a genuine dangerous virus or something comes, and
Mm,
then if everyone, it's like the boy that cried wolf,
yeah.
and then if we're all like, oh fuck that, no mind that, that's already another COVID 2.0 or whatever.
Mm,
But I think it'll be a bit more obvious in terms of death counts and stuff. But people will be a bit more skeptical. Do you ever think of
mm.
that?
Yeah, I did. I thought like, they'll release a real fucking dangerous one, and it'll be fools like myself who ignore it and go, ah, fuck it. No, it's just another one of their bullshits, and
Yeah.
then you get sick and you're fucked. I don't know. It's like Bill Gates was saying, pandemic 2.0 will really get their attention.
Like Fauci's been there was a CIA whistleblower there the last couple of days that was testifying to the Senate, I think it was. And so yesterday for 2 days he was doing it. And it's up there, you can look up the clips. But he was saying that from April 2025, so last year, to April this year, he was looking into like a couple of things. He's looking into JFK files and so the handling of files and stuff, and then looking into the COVID thing, and he's seen through his investigations that, and he has proof that Fauci apparently was covering up for a lab leak and covering up for gain of function research.
Mm,
And funnily enough, what happened when Biden, just before he got out of office, what did he do? Didn't he give Fauci the pardon? Like,
yeah.
but that's what a lot of people were saying beforehand. Like, that Fauci is fucking talking out through his hole.
Mm,
Um, but I seen your one. Is it Anna Luna Paul? She's that representative for Congress, and she was on a news station, and she was saying that Tulsi Gabbard, her office was broken into, and she had some files that supposedly were related to JFK, um, and they were taken by the CIA, and they were going against the order of Trump, and she was waiting for them to come back. They were taken away by the CIA to be looked at. I don't know, and they were never returned.
Mm.
So supposedly the CIA, whoever personnel were there, went against Trump's order. So they're trying to figure out a way what happened to these documents, and can they get them back? What were in the documents? And the same thing with the CIA with Fauci. Um, like a lot of people, like he should be in jail. Like and this conspiracy as well, that was Biden in the right mindset when he signed
Mm.
off the pardon.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they actually did do an investigation into his signature. It was genuinely looked like his signature, but there's this thing going around called autopin. So
Yeah.
it basically um shows up a duplicate, a copy of
Yes.
someone's signature.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that as well. I heard that that they used AutoPen when he pardoned Hunter as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this could lead to problems for people that were pardoned, but nothing's going to happen. There's never going to be any justice, is there?
Like, yeah, they're on about there looking to see if they can find a loophole, get around the thing to actually put Fauci in jail, because that's what they were on about. This Anna Luna
Mm.
Paul. She's the one looking into the alien files as well. But again, we'll see what'll happen to these people. Like, but
How old is that cunt? He's about 80 now, isn't he?
yeah, he's
Fauci.
pushing on. Yeah,
It's
he's
Jones.
pushing on.
Jones mad. Like when you're like following all these conspiracies and the elite and the dark shit they get up to. They're just fucking evil right to the end of their lives. You know, they don't seem to ever sort of think, fuck, I better calm down here. I'm gonna fucking have to meet my maker in the next few days. Few
It's
days.
it's like a legacy thing, isn't it? Or power, trying to be the pinnacle of power around their community of friends or the
Mm.
community of other fellas or whatever people in their sphere. That's what it kind of that's what I think about it.
Yeah.
But like the CIA stance was always that they released everything in relation to MK Ultra. But like we did a short there the other day about Project
Mm.
Artichoke, like that was the predecessor
Yeah.
where they were actually messing with people's brains, and it was brain activity and stuff, and they were giving them dose them up with LSD, seeing if they can mess around with people's cognition and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, what if they're saying we've released everything in relation to MK Ultra? But what about the other projects that are
Yeah.
called different things, but they're related to MK Ultra as well? So
Well,
technically, they did release everything there, but then there's other shit.
with the MK Ultra stuff though, I think a lot of it was destroyed. I think
Yeah, they said that
that was the
too.
claim that the head of the CIA ordered it all to be destroyed, and
Yeah,
that fucking mad scientist, what was his name again? He destroyed the rest of it. His name
yeah,
escapes me now.
yeah.
Um,
In 1973, I actually have the thing there.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
saying,
There was a hearing in front of Congress or some shit like that, and
yeah, I heard that
people
one
were
as well.
shocked. People were shocked. They were like, you're drugging fucking unsuspecting normal people
Yeah,
and studying them to see what the fuck. And this is like in the 50s and 60s, mental like.
and yeah, Jolly West and that book Chaos that I keep mentioning. I must finish it, but your man he did this documentary as well. The author of that book. It's on Netflix. It's like an hour and a half long. You should watch it. But yeah, the hippie movement and those and people trying to blame the hippies and get them to look like wasters and
Mm,
suicidal maniacs and fucking basically dose them up with all this mind control experiment shit.
yeah,
And yeah, um, yeah, it's the JFK thing as well. Like it keeps on popping up there. Do you ever see that clip of the driver turning around and it looks like the driver
yeah,
shooting
yeah.
from the front?
It's, yeah,
Like
it's
supposedly
all very confusing.
there's two entry points supposedly in the
Mm.
post mortem or something. Years later, some fella came out, the doctor, and said that yeah, two entry points supposedly.
I heard another theory that the footage that we actually see of him being shot was recorded later and it was superimposed on. So what happened was you're watching JFK. Okay, so he's coming down the road like this, and then there's a sign. There's a big road sign, and the car goes behind the road sign. And when a car comes out the other side, it's a different car. Something that they filmed later on, and so what we're looking at was fake footage of his assassination. But some of the stuff that they were pointing to was like the people in the background were too big. They were the same size as the people in the foreground and stuff, and the timing of it was off. Where you hear the gunshot, and then it's a couple of seconds later before people start diving for cover. Do you know, that kind of way? So
Yeah.
but you know
Okay.
what, man? Like, it's just like that's a serious rabbit hole. There's just so many fucking angles going on at that. Like,
Yeah, but how long ago was that as well? And there's still speculation
61, I
about
think,
it.
62.
Like this
Yeah,
stuff mightn't come out about that till another 20, 30 years. Like,
yeah. And like I said it before. Like, it's it's a story that's agreed upon by all the governments of the world, and all the intelligence agencies of the world agree that the official story is the truth. You don't have the KGB reporting to their government and the Russian government talking about it not being real. The only two politicians that ever fucking spoke up about JFK's assassination were Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi.
yes,
They were the only two that
yes,
ever suggested that
yes.
there was some fuckery going on there.
I seen a clip there of Gaddafi as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I heard a funny thing. Well, not a funny story. Well, it's kind of a funny story. I was named the lad that was president of Cuba, or
Castro?
Castro, Fidel Castro. I heard that he traveled through Ireland one time and he stopped off in Shannon and he went to Kilrush, but he traveled under this different name. And this fella that owns the pub, he has a signature of Fidel Castro,
Go away.
I think, with that other name. But yeah, supposedly he did
It's
stop there.
interesting. That's
Yeah,
mad.
it was either in Kilkee or Kinsale. Oh no, Kilkee or Kilrush. Kilkee maybe
Right.
is a
Mad.
place in Clare. But yeah. So we've a busy few weeks there coming up. There's a few guests. I think we're booked out for the next 5 or 6 weeks. And Richard Willett is on tomorrow, so we'll have that up in a couple of days.
Couple of days.
So looking forward to that.
And we've Chris Matthew.
Chris Matthew is coming on, yeah, and Dave from Dave's Multiverse is coming on next Thursday. Chris Matthew is coming on the Monday after that, with William Ramsey coming back on. And yeah, there's a couple of other guests there just
Some
to
more
finalize
surprise
as well.
guests down the road, hopefully.
That's it.
Got some good stuff. We got some good stuff to come.
So stay tuned in, and yeah, thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll catch you again.
All right. Sound, John.
Cheers, Nella. Take it
Talk to you in a
handy.
while.
Thanks for listening. And if you like this and would like more, please subscribe and turn on notifications.